right, here it is. Trying something a little new and improved with the kayfabe streams. Got some better cameras going right now. Actually using new iPhone and using my old iPhone for this camera right there. So I thought it might be kind of interesting to be able to see the artist and see what the hands are doing. So let's give it a shot. See what happens. New and improved, you be the judge. Jeremy Squibbs, first ones to show up. Thank you guys for joining the stream. Let's jump right into things. Where we left off yesterday, a couple of the homegirls are hanging out, man. They're hanging out at Sheena's house, and little Soda Pop is joining in the fun of taking care of all these little siblings. Look at all these little siblings running around. Soda Pop is kind of stoked that Sheena gets to take care of her family and never goes to school, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. And where we leave off with this strip, there's some shouting going through the door. So we're going to see what the results of this argument are and how it gets resolved. So without further ado, let's jump into things, man. Off the bat, we have some arguing going on. On this side of the table, I have my lettering nibs, my lettering pens, I should say, and I keep them separate from the inking stuff. Sorry for bumping the mic. Thank you guys, thank you guys. I'm using this lapel mic too. Typically, I use this guy right here, and maybe I'll do that in the future, but as you can see, it obscures the face a bit. So hopefully the audio levels are reasonable. I think within OBS I can pot them up a bit. Yeah, I put them up some percentage. Cool. So they've got a pair of legs running, and then they get closer to the camera as Sheena advances. So kind of like the Nanny and Muppet Babies, the adults don't get seen so often. Certainly the parents never get seen. Going with the 0.8 pen for this yelling balloon. I was going to go with a boulder, but I don't want it to compete with the lettering. And when I'm putting the jagged marks, I have to be aware of potential tangents throughout the image. So you want to avoid that at all costs. This setup does take a little longer to set up, and as you can see, I'm getting started a little later today. Let myself sleep in a bunch, man. Like I'm kind of not binding myself to the alarm clock any longer. I need to get these pages done one a day, and it's going to take however long it's going to take, and I'm not going to lose sleep. But I would like to be up earlier. Got another screen going on. Maybe this one I'll just let, I won't put tails to it. But I'll have some direction from mamas. No, I'll put some tails to this, man. I don't want anybody to think that it's Sheena talking. Once again, you got to be kind of conscious of potential tangents. Are you guys working on stuff today? It's the start of that work week, but you know, cartoonists don't take breaks. Should be a much better camera pointing down at the artwork. I'll never be able to get a perfect 90-degree because it's more important for my own eyeballs to see it at 90. I don't want to fuck up the art just for a good camera angle. So it's always going to be a little askew unless I figure something else out, which I don't see happening. Using a circle template for the edges of these dialogue bubbles. It's a process. The thought with this strip is that Sheena has friends over at the house, right? And the friend is witnessing a moment of darkness within that household. It's nothing that Sheena is not used to and nothing that she's not capable of handling. You know, she takes care of business, but she's embarrassed that her friends had to see this nonsense. She preferred that it would be one of those kind of dark secrets. Now I'm using an ellipse template for the tails. I don't think I showed any of this part of the grind off. And I'm going to opt to close this off and then connect it this way. The reason for that is because he's going to be getting electrocuted. There'll be zappies everywhere, and I don't want the tail to conflict with that at all. Oh yeah, might be a good idea to have a tail toward the person who's actually speaking in this panel. I hope as I'm looking down I'm not like Darth Vadering the mic. What's going on, Miss Ivory Bunny? Welcome, welcome. Totally something I could take care of in Photoshop if I wanted to, but whatever. The fidelity of the camera should be way better. Wider lens? Is it a wider lens? What am I doing? I don't want the 0.1, I want the 1.0. Alright, so you guys kind of know what I like to do. I like to try to hit one tool at a time. A lot of this will be black probably on the underplane. We'll see. Curves imply motion. This might be all black, we'll see. The Christmas music. That's not the plan for my computer. Tool for the bold lettering. We're looking at the Copic marker. Bold marker, I believe. BM. I got a little baby right here. Got that little pacifier. And just want to make sure that I don't put it over the little baby's nose. Yeah. I guess I won't even do that with this pen anyhow. Trying to give it those like little Michelin Man fat rolls that little babies have. Well, Patrick Sargent, you get your nut up and you turn pro, and you get to write this stuff off on your taxes, son. But the tools don't make the artist, man. I bet you I could take any of your dollar store tools and do something fly with them. I do like these better than microns, though. We've discussed that before, but every video is somebody's first video, and these Copics just feel like butter. Hot knife through butter. Earlier today I laid out strip 99. This is strip 98. So we're really moving. Massive Panda, welcome to the stream. because this is a 90s comic, set in the 1990s, one of the rules is, man, you can never go too baggy with the clothes. She always has a cigarette in her mouth. This 0.5 is running low, but it might not be visible right here. Is stacks and stacks of Copics, boxes of them. The other cool thing with this setup is that the weeklies should be way better looking. That's sort of what I wanted to test out. That webcam just it was sort of a bane of the production as far as I was concerned. But talk with Jim for a second today. Convinced him that this is the way to go. You would think that new tech would equal better production values, but you never know. You never know. And I wasn't quite sure if I would be able to use the phone as a webcam. But we could, and certainly is way better than any webcam that you could probably buy on the market. Way back, I was using dip pens, man. I was never inking with a marker. But my thoughts with this comic is that, it's little kids are the subject matter. So use the tools that you used when you were a little kid, man. We didn't know about brushes and nibs and stuff. And when I color it, that'll be the same deal. Markers and color pencils will be the tools. I might push these characters in the back by just using this skinnier pen. We'll see. This will probably be black. Yeah, I mean, it's really not the tool. You know, it's the artist. There's no excuse, man, when it comes to making stuff. I mean, Jimmy put together 2 very successful art shows of ballpoint pen artwork, and it's literally Chuck E. Cheese ballpoint pens. You know, no tricks. So we do not endorse excuse making here, man. Make the best art you can with whatever you got. Make the best art you can with whatever you have access to. Don't be a bitch. And most importantly, have fun. Let that dry. Now this will be a fun one. This is going to be a fun panel. Might want to do a little pencil in here. She's advancing. Like, I'll ink those lines in a second. But she's advancing with a taser. She hops up on him and then is like biting at his face and clawing at his eyes. Very kind of visceral image. Nose skin getting pulled in every direction. Maybe most severely in this direction. This is her mouth. I should still have the cigarette in there. Right there. I probably make real dumb facial expressions. I do know that there are the times where I certainly was made fun of by studio mates for doing the kind of Michael Jordan tongue while inking. You know, literally just inking and sticking a tongue out. Who knows why? This is one of those panels that's going to be fun when you read it online on Instagram, where you know you're scrolling and then you get to the third scroll and you have this one. Hey, Adam Brooks, thanks for that super chat, Holmes. Break the chain. That should be a video. I've had that sitting in a box in my future video box for literally years at this point. I got the comic loose. I don't have a sealed one with the cassette tape. Alright, let's go in and have a little fun now. Actually, I'll tease it for a minute. I'll get back to this guy. I totally remember when those Break the Chains were on the racks. I think that was another Baltimore Rite Aid run. You know, around the McFarlane Spider-Man. Extinction Agenda. New Mutants to X-Force era. I have so many vivid memories of that span. Maybe I should put some zaps on this bitch even. Nah, Hip Hop Family Tree wasn't really inspired by Break the Chain. Actually might be an answer to all that stuff, because I actually, all of those hip-hop related comics, like, you know, Wu-Tang Clan comics and stuff, the Method Man comic, they were just vanity projects, and in their own way disrespectful to the medium of comics. It was a jerk off to those dudes, you know, just like a fun thing. For the man who has everything, why not have your own comic? That type of shit. And it's been said, you know, Sanford admitted that on a panel that we were on in Heroes Con, that it was just a toy to Method Man, in so many words. So my thought was like, let's do a serious approach to hip hop. You know, I said it in some of those videos, like the Time Magazine video and shit like that. Like, you know, a ninja clan of 9 fighting zombies and things is not as interesting to me as 9 dudes beating the record companies and creating new models and, you know, saving their own lives. Like that is a more noble a pursuit and worth talking about, sharing about. But obviously I haven't gotten to the Wu-Tang Clan yet. In the comic there is, however, that great Benjamin Mera pinup in Hip Hop Family Tree. Seek that out if you don't know about it. So my goals for 2024 are to deliver you guys a daily strip of comics and a video every single day for 365. The only way I can accomplish that is by getting one of these bitches done today. Obviously giving myself some lead time, which is the smart move for consistency. I'm going to try not to have Thursdays bottleneck me. And the way that will happen is I'm just not gonna really bind myself to the alarm clock any longer. If it messes with Jim's schedule and he can't do 7 a week because I gotta get up later, that's fine. I'll just record the difference myself. Maybe get some guest hosts in and stuff. But your homeboy Ed has a good career going. And as much as I like kayfabe, gotta get this schedule to work for me. And I got some real hard goals here. So at this stage, the art really doesn't look like much. I'm just kind of putting these marks everywhere. But it starts to come into focus. As soon as I start busting out the other pens. This just is wrong right here. I'll put eyelashes on that shit too. Well, I'll let that be. I'll put those details in with a smaller pen. The part of the nose is getting pinched this way. Let's see. So many overlapping shapes. Got the cigarette right here. Are you bluing in those drawings? I do very light roughs on the iPad using Procreate, and then with other little bits, like some of these face details, like this hand with this taser. I will then go in with pencil, but so much of it is just improv in the inks, allowing for a little chaos, allowing for a little spontaneity, a little life. I think that it'll become a very distinctive part of the kind of comics that I make going forward, with everybody who's very bound by the technology. And certainly as AI continues to be implemented, ain't nothing stopping it, and it ain't nothing to cry about. It's sort of incumbent on the culture. If you guys do not value drawing and you vote the opposite direction with your buying dollar, then you get the comics and stuff that you deserve. That's how it's always been. You could cry, you could complain about the mainstream doing this and that to you, but somebody's buying it. But I do think that, like, I will have a niche of people who are just more level-headed and dig artwork made by humans. Was there anything you learned there at the Kubert School that you couldn't learn on your own? And that's from El Niaya with a $10 super chat. And to answer that question, I think in a lot of ways that art school is a way to just get bad work out of your system for a few years. The teachers that I had, there's not one teacher that I had whose career I haven't surpassed already, and maybe even surpassed by like age 25, to be perfectly honest. And I did not have Joe Kubert. I did not. I had some guys that drew Archie comics and shit like that. And I will say that the value for me was that I got them to put together, everybody got the art kit. So that's when I got my first good brushes and good pens and all of that kind of stuff. So they set me up with that. And then just in general, I'm a visual learner. So in spite of what I just said about some of these fellas, like, they could wield a brush, and to see that helped me move forward. But I do think that certainly when it comes to comics, the smartest play with comics is to, if you want to have a career in comics, is to play it blue collar and do exactly what we've been doing here the past 3-4 days, 5 days, however long it's been. You got to sit down and you got to just do the work. No bells and whistles, no phony baloney bullshit, no kayfabe talk about the vibration of the images and yada yada yada. No bullshit baffles brains. Just do the fucking work. And art school puts a collegiate bourgeois premium on that education, and puts kids in debt. So I kind of figured that out the hard way, because I was really, really, really excited to be going to the Kubert School. That was such a goal. But in that 1 year, the goal became, I need to get paid to learn, and I want to get paid before my peer group here even graduates, because that will be the baller thing to me. to be a professional functioning artist before my dudes even put on a little cap and gown or whatever they do at trade school. So with stuff like YouTube videos and artist editions and cartoonist kayfabe, we're all the summer school you need, man. You don't need that other stuff. But I totally get it if you gotta make that play to just get your folks off your back. I think that maybe there was a little bit of that for me. I certainly used the opportunity up there because, I was paying for that all myself and knew that I was immediately in debt. So it was like the absolute excuse to take it so seriously and draw all the time. Like there's nobody who would have cast aspersions or talk shit because it was like I'm putting a use to the education that I'm paying for, So I get it. Who knows what various people's home lives are and stuff. I do know that I certainly have some friends that had to escape their environment in order to do the pursuit. And I get both sides of that argument. This shit is hard to do. This shit is hard to make a life, a living at. And it's pretty hard to get to like, a higher level in that game. But it is possible. And I personally had no doubts that it would happen. But I also graduated in the year 2000. It was pretty bleak time for comics. And I just didn't know that. Thankfully. Maybe I would have went into some other bullshit. And maybe it would have been more lucrative. But what did Yoda tell you? Adventure, excitement. Jedis crave not these things. And if pure profit motive is your interest in comics, allow me to humbly laugh in your jibs. Like that black right there. We're almost to that point of putting in these details. What's that look like? I'm just looking at the video. It's kind of silly. Many apologies if I'm bumping the camera. Juan Albaran, 7 a.m. in Japan. Got some manga to make. Juan, I'm super proud of you, sir. And I want to get a shoot interview with you as soon as possible. Heading out to, I know you're not in Tokyo, but I am heading out there November 15th. I'll be touching down. I'll be landing. And if by some chance you're able to make it up to Tokyo by December 5th, I will do everything I can to drop whatever might be going on to do a shoot interview with you in person. And for those of you who don't know, Juan is pretty much one of two people of Western culture to infiltrate manga. How many tankobon you got out there already at this point, Juan? And what's the name of your book? I could go in the back room and go grab a copy real quick. But I'm just so stoked for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm so impressed by you. I love watching your posts. I love watching your progress. It blows my mind seeing new material come from you all the time. And if we gotta do a Zoomer, like let's do a fucking Zoomer at some point, man. Especially like knowing that okay, it's 7 a.m. You're up. Maybe we can schedule something. And if you have the ability to draw and chat at the same time, we could kill two birds with one stone, man. You could put some of your manga together. I could put my comics together, and we could bullshit. Started Tankobon 7. Can you believe it? It hasn't even been like 2 years. Well, maybe it has. But yeah, one is he's an important comic creator. You guys should jump onto his Instagram and just keep track of his work. There was a story you posted some months back, Juan, that stuck with me, and I will just never forget it for as long as I live. And he was prepping, another fresh episode of Matagi Gunner, and I guess maybe fell asleep, passed out, and then woke up nervous that he missed a deadline or something. I know I'm getting this wrong, and we'll clear it up when I interview you. But woke up, panicked. Oh man, I fucked up my deadlines. Looked at the work, and the dude drew it all in a daze and forgot about it. Like total like sleepwalk comic making. That's the pressure cooker of producing a manga series. I'm sitting here like, oh man, I got to get a page done today. I don't want to take your hands away from the drawing tools, Juan, but let the people know how many pages you get done a day. So I'm humbled by you, sir. Passed out but continued drawing. The wrong thing. Oh. Yeah, that is scary, but that's the grind, man. That's the life that you chose, and it's super respected. And don't feel the need to type in the chat, man. I really don't want to take your drawing time away with all that you got going on, but I do know that like some of the questions that I'm going to ask you when I have the chance will be about assistance. At what point were you able to get an assistant? Was there like a pain period before having an assistant where you have to do all of it and really fucking risk your health? What is that assistant life like? We talked to Felipe Smith. We have shoot interviews, and if you're not familiar with Felipe, he's another Western fella like who I think from Argentina, lived in L.A., taught himself Japanese by working at a Japanese restaurant, and then he cracked the code. I believe with Morning Magazine. One, I am curious what your magazine is, but I do think that Kodansha is more receptive to Western talents than Shogakukan or Shueisha, which is the Shonen Jump publisher. Got to meet those good people at Kodansha who were Felipe's editors at Morning Magazine. And the older dude was also the editor who was commissioning like David Mazzucchelli and Paul Pope, and I think Kyle Baker, and I think Chaikin to potentially produce manga over there. And none of it saw print except years later comes Felipe. Juan's workload: 60 pages a month plus covers for Tankobon. That's the workload. Literally double what I'm trying to accomplish. And in some ways, failing and giving myself like a major buffer. Start getting a little insecure with these shoe soles, these boot soles. Hey, Juan, I'm going to send you some DMs over the gram, but if you think that it could be fun to be, studio mates from afar, and you'd be interested in kicking on Zoom, you don't gotta put your camera on you or anything like that. But you could, if you wanted to do exactly the same thing I'm doing, putting it on your drawing, whatever, and just bullshit while we grind, on the record. I think that would be super fascinating to the people. And furthermore, we could actually, we could do that shit privately too. A lot of value in just kind of having a studio bud. Before COVID, I had the studio open to a bunch of people here in town. But then after COVID, everybody kind of went off and did their own thing. There's obvious parts where I need pure quiet, as I'm sure you do. But I'm pretty comfy doing the inks and stuff while kicking it. My boy's getting zapped up by that taser. And I just imagine that the little girls are just holding it on him. Fucking letting him get good and toasted. Yeah, Juan said that he can't chat while doing storyboards, and I'm the exact way. Like my mornings when I put together a fresh page, or just it's so much concentration, and it's a you got to live inside your head and spin all those plates. This is probably the most contorted body I ever drew. Oh, no, no, no. I was being a little impatient. Well, I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I start to ink these two other girls with the big stuff. Yeah, man, our boy's just getting fucking tased up and just body getting jacked up all over the place. I have the first Tankobon of Juan's comic. I'll bring it to show on the mic, on the microscope at some point. Yeah, I'm scheduled to come to Big Apple Con right now. It's might be a kind of a big week for me to figure out some schedule for 2024, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated. Big Apple's in December, but if my deadlines can require that I use every second I get when I get back home, then I might have to cancel that out. But I don't want to. I can't speak for Juan, but a question comes from Ross. Is scripting and storyboarding all one process for you, or do you do each one separate? And for my process, drawing and writing are intermingled. That's the beauty of singular cartooning, is that you never have to divorce the words and images like a assembly line crew does. And as per almost all manga I've ever seen in terms of production, the nemu that I've seen, even when there's collaborations like the Death Note guys, the writer does like a thumbnail. That's what the name is. The manuscript. It's a very rough thumbnail of what the comic will be. So it's got the visuals, stick figures, but it's not a Hollywood movie script, with like stage directions and shit. Yeah, Big Apple Con is very attractive because it's just a 1 day thing. So I feel like, you know, anybody should be able to spare a day. But then when you think about it, that day that you're sparing is around holiday season. So you kind of want to be with your family and have a day for that as well. But I'm, determined to take no family time for granted. That's not something I do anyhow. I cherish my Sundays visiting my folks and stuff. You're just getting older and older. I am going to make this background all black to try to really sell the brightness of that right there. Maybe we'll just get that boring part out of the way. It's for a comic critique session. That's not at the front of my thoughts, but I do have some ideas in that direction. I'll say that. And I also will say that I think the smartest of you who are enterprising cartoonists will sort of jump at the things that I'm thinking about. I'm doing this dance to just try to not touch the bits that might still be wet, so that's why I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. So we know Juan is in Japan at the moment, and I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The question is, where are you guys? Where are you guys, and what is your interest in a stream like this? Are you makers yourselves? Are you just interested in that Wizard of Oz, like behind the curtain point of view of how these things get made? What you're looking at here will be strip 99. So what's the 99th day in a year? April? Early April, first week of April. Just have to snoop and see how much time we put in so far. Once these kind of foundational cornerstones are set, the rest of the page is really pretty fucking simple. It really comes together kind of quickly. I think that this might be a little different because I want a lot of speed lines on these two. And yeah, fuck it. I guess that's kind of quick, but you'll see. There's a little bit of time-consuming shit to that perspective. I think this one could be set, but I want to have some sunburst-like speed lines on that panel. You know, that's my manga influence. There will never be a place for these kind of comics in Japan. They just have such a specific idiom of comics making. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing to take from that material the other way, you know, like bring some stuff in from them for my own use. And one of the things that I always make note of with new stuff that I pull out of Japan is that there's always an opportunity to go further with your image making. You know, just when you think you pushed it, like you could get even crazier. Kirby's dope, but it only goes so far. And so many of the Japanese, they don't even know the Kirby idiom, right? So they're inventing their own action beats and hyperbole that we just never seen in our comics. Or if we do, you catch like small little glimpses. I think of guys like Daniel Warren Johnson has that ability to bring some of that great manga energy into his works here in the West. Thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Let me send you guys this little link to the Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus. At the moment is at a pretty big discount because I think resellers or some stores that have an online component, they were offering a big discount on their own kind of Amazon stores, and I think it tripped up the algorithm because Amazon, you know, they want everybody's money, so it created a big discount. And have no fear if you scoop the comic up already, it's worth every dollar that you paid. But what you could do now, man, is get that gift for somebody who might not have been worth the full 75 bones, but might be worth 50. We don't have to tell them that you didn't pay cover price. It'll be our secret here. You dig? I think with the white gel pen, I'm going to add extra zappy shits coming off of this. But I already know that I'm going to do that privately. Because if it doesn't work out and I start motherfucking, I don't run a risk of being memed or something. Alright, there's that. Oh yeah. This little baby here is going to be crawling to about here. Comic Art Live, the Illuminati. Jimmy and I have plans with you guys. I should be hearing this week about potential deadlines for the inevitable Switchblade Shorties book. And then I can plan out my course. Imagine that that's like a down plane. And this is like a down plane. I don't need to be so literal. This is that perspective where the horizon line is on the ground. So as long as everything touches the ground, the perspective is accurate. So this foot touching the ground is touching the same horizon line there. So when you have these overlapping shapes, it might look sketchy, but they're not close. Trying to think, like maybe so much of that'll be black. We'll come back to that. That might be something I play around with on my own. Winter Knits, thank you so much for supporting the Hip Hop Family Tree Omnibus. Definitely the best book I've made so far. And, you know, that is until I make my next one. This will all be black. Shouts to Goddamn Lug, another one of those great Instagram accounts that I encourage everybody to check out. The comics that he highlights are some of my faves, obscure gems. Can you talk a bit about what it's like serializing a story instead of releasing it all at once in one big chunky volume? If you're familiar with the trajectory of Hip Hop Family Tree, that was a weekly comic, 2 pages a week. So I think in those terms. And with a daily comic in mind, the concerns are still similar, but the sort of way that I implement these ideas does change a little bit. So I want each unit to be satisfying, like a complete, satisfying piece. But I need it to work as a whole also. So there will be times where the strips might be just like feel like a gag a day kind of thing. Like maybe even this one. But there are goals for the greater story that I'm trying to tell with something like this. And in fact, this is an important strip for the climax of this story. Chekhov's gun, if you will. These will definitely be black. Mike, thanks for that super chat. And thanks for grabbing that omnibus. It's sort of no joke, man, how you guys keep the channel thriving by scooping up the books. Because YouTube does not pay the bills at all. It's pretty weak when it comes to that stuff. You know, we do it for other reasons, and those reasons really are letting you know about our books and things. So You know, at this level, like it slowly starts to come into focus. J-Tail salutes, man. Thanks for the super chat. I think I'm gonna make these pants like camo pants. Doing these daily strips, man. You gotta keep them fucking hands moving. And at a certain level, can't be too precious. If you fuck something up a little more than you wanted to, or if it you didn't get exactly the effect that you wanted, make a note. Maybe fix it before it turns into a book, but don't make those same mistakes again. Don't dwell. Don't cry. Don't waste time trying to polish a turd. Just live and learn. There's always tomorrow's page. You guys need to do Fantastic Four Unlimited. Herb Trimpe trying to draw like Rob Liefeld, Sublime. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's one of my favorite Herb Trimpe comics. It's not Rob Liefeld, it's more Jim Lee, but I get what you're saying. And yeah, I agree with you. That should be a comic for the channel. I mean, yeah, an episode. There's also there's a Bishop story he drew where he's doing the Jim Lee style. And what's great about that is that he does know how to basically put a figure together and stuff. So he makes the weird hatching that those guys do, he makes it make sense. Now with the Fantastic Four one, he gets way more abstract and wonky. And I actually talked to him about that stuff, man. I saw him maybe 3 weeks before he passed. Which is so crazy. He was very healthy runner. And I told him that the stuff that is always at the front of my thoughts with him are those comics that we just mentioned, but also his Incredible Hulk magazine cover, Rolling Stone magazine cover. And he said that that's like his natural style, the Rolling Stone issue that he drew with the Incredible Hulk. And he said that he really wanted to get back to doing more drawing like that. Troy Nixie, what's up, sir? Troy's got a Instagram that you guys got to follow. His work has taken an amazing turn for the ornate and very, very hyper detailed and just elegant is the word, exquisite, fantastic drawings coming from Troy Nixie's pen. Started off in the great outlaw comics realm. Things like I believe Prey might be one. Certainly Bill the Clown, slave labor. But then had his little pieces with Mignola and crew and Oni Press. Serialized some stuff in Dark Horse Presents, I believe. Troy, I wonder on he's drawn very big, very, very big. A day's inking. What is that? Is that a couple inches of the board? Let me see if I can pull up some of Uncle Troy's stuff on the gram. Show it off. Let's see. I have a iPad that I'm looking down at. To kind of keep up with the chat and stuff. My goodness. Like, let's see. Can you guys see this? This is Troy Nixie, man. Bad motherfucker. Just a little details from the piece. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Go ahead, Uncle Troy. You guys are getting schooled, man. Like you're getting some good Instagram influences. Trying to pull up the chat again. Boom, there we go. Troy, do you use like Crescent illustration board for that stuff? I don't notice any kind of bleeds or anything, man. It looks like it's on the highest quality paper. Maybe Strathmore 500. Let a dude know. I'm just using Strathmore 300, and I always get criticized by the much better cartoonists out there. Why, Ed? Strathmore 500 isn't that much more expensive. And I just frankly like the convenience of 11 by 17. Like if they made tablets of Strathmore 500 at 11 by 17 where I don't have to cut them down, then I would convert. But we're dealing with exponentials here. You know, cutting down a page a day, like how much time is that over the course of a year? Where to go next? Got some new black areas I want to lay down. And I'm thinking this ceiling inside that room will be black. We'll see. Mike D, what about Strathmore 500? 24 sheets to a pad. I don't think I know that those exist. Do they? Because I would fuck with that. If it's 11 by 17, like I just can't be bothered with cutting stuff. I'm generating too many pages to the point where that just, I just don't want to add that to my day. As you can tell, my days are pretty lean as it is. Nice, it's good to know. After I crush these, I'll look into some 500. But once again, man, it's that process talk. It's the tool talk, right? And Strathmore 500 ain't going to make you draw better pages. Get some bolds in here. When possible, I like to get one stroke. Borderline on the down plane. Shadow with a SIG. Boom. No color strips planned at the moment, but once I have a format of what the final book will look like, that could very well change, and I'll do a colored episode. See how long that takes me, see if it cuts into my production. Got a little baby back here. Making this load a little bigger to avoid tangents. Little soda pop ain't used to seeing domestic violence. So she's a fair bit shaken up. We'll push that background further into the background by just giving it some gray value. A couple pages ago, I implemented some flat grays like this, and I think it's a good addition to the aesthetic, so we'll keep it going. Not the fastest thing in the world, because this one I don't think it'll just be flat. I think I'll put another tapered value with some cross hatching, but I'll give it like a full gray to begin with. Yeah, these kids here, they see some things, but they're not pussies, man. They're very, very capable. It's just like, as a kid, you're a victim of your surroundings. Maybe you have no power, so these girls can't help it, but being around some of this stuff. And then, like on this previous piece right here, you know, I'm gonna get emancipated when I'm 14. Sigh, be back 1 second. You know, that's the previous joint, and then, you know, the very next panel, the next day, he's all upset. Found 2 brands of cigarettes in the ashtray. Who is he? And we see our girl reaching into her coat. She has a taser, jumps up on the dude, and is fucking zapping him to hell. So she could handle her shit. You know, these aren't wimps. These aren't victims, but it ain't all peaches and cream. And it isn't fair. But guess what? Life ain't fair. You know, the tone of these comics, it's going to run the gamut. There's going to be funny stuff. There's going to be some realness. You know, you're going to be able to identify with some of this material in a strong way, hopefully. What's up, Adam? Welcome to the stream. Getting a little late start today. Pretty much that panel. One thing I like to do is the Will Eisner tears are like a porridge that have like a very distinct shadow that makes them just feel like glue. So it's a subtle thing. All right, one down. Let me just grab a fresh water real fast. All right. All right. Let's see. That classic thing where, you know, right leg up, left leg coming forward, right leg coming forward, left leg up, to try to create that sense of motion. And then the baby started there, crawls here, while our girl more off in the distance here, and then advances close. this pen is pretty much going to be done sooner than later. It's good for little details, but I can feel it doesn't have all of the integrity that a fresh one does, and you have to be ruthless with your materials because the reader does not give a shit that you're trying to stretch out a pen and make it last. They just want good comics. And you know what? They deserve good comics. They're paying money to read your comic, money that could be spent doing anything else. So when your materials aren't cooperating the way that you want them to, you gotta chuck them. And that's tough to hear, like when you're you know, getting established and, you know, got all the money in the world to be spending on art supplies and stuff. But as a pro, you gotta handle it like a biz. John S., thanks for that super chat. That'll be black. In studying comic strips the way I've been, so many of those 1920s, 1910s, you know, turn of the century comic strips, they have that one fixed camera angle. You know, it's pre-cinema. And I do think that for an episode of the strip, I gotta do one where it's just that fixed mid shot. You know, keep the characters maybe this big, and just see what that looks like. Because, you know, playing with camera angles and stuff like this, I mean, even calling them camera angles, it's filmic talk. Shouts Adrian, thanks for joining the stream and checking out the scenario. this, I feel like maybe with those legs being in the shadow, you gotta have the laces in the shadow. I think I'm pretty well set for the Japan trip at this point. I wanted to get this new phone, the thing that I'm pointing down at the artwork. Wanted to get that before I split. Mission accomplished. Needed to find some super lightweight but very, very comfortable boots, because it'll be pretty rainy out there, and Timberlands do not cut it. Man, they do not cut it. And because we're walking sometimes 20 miles in a day, no exaggeration. And you just need the most comfortable, like a comfortable set of shoes is all the difference in the world between being sore as fuck and being like bow-legged and just having an easy go at it. So right at the beginning of the trip, there'll be guys like Alika Seki from Maui Comics is coming out, a dude that I've been wanting to have on the channel for a long time, and he's actually a dude that, like, before I invited Jim to build Cartoonist Kayfabe with me, I was going to do a podcast with this dude Scheme Richards from, well, I was in talks with doing something with Scheme Richards, but we couldn't figure out how to make it go. He's in Philadelphia. He's not close. And it would have been something different. It would have been more pop culture centric rather than, comic centric. But he's going to be in Tokyo. He's gone a lot of times, and he's a dude that you guys need to meet. Brian Moss, lieutenant of Cartoonist Kayfabe, he's getting married on Friday, and they're doing their honeymoon out there. So they're going right to Japan right after the wedding and stuff. So they got a couple weeks, man, to do honeymoon things before the posse comes and upsets the apple cart and starts to bring nerdiness into the game. I was maybe gonna put those teeth together, but I'll wait. One tool at a time. When we went to Tokyo last year, it was so cool and is unlike it ever will be again, because they just freshly opened up the gates to Gaijin again, and there was just, the people of Tokyo, and we were on the first thing steaming over there, so we got in early, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, there's tourists, no doubt, but guess what? I'm a fucking tourist, so what can I do? I ain't no different. But thankfully, I do got some good people that know the spots in the outskirts and shit. Talking Uncle Jeff Darrow into coming out again. He's got a couple things to look into before he pulls the trigger. It's all deadlines. It's all deadlines and stuff. I'm kind of celebrating the hip hop book. I was talking with Yo, who's Peach's husband, and we're planning to get together in their neighborhood. That should be fun, man. Maybe get an updated interview. Do that thing where like Peach is just on her grizzly, just steady working, and Yo fields the questions or whatever. Asks her the pertinent stuff that he doesn't know the answer to, that kind of deal. I think that could be fun. But I know they just put together a new studio that I'm very eager to check out. We had so much fun with them last year. Jeff Darrow was with us that time, and went to a dinner afterward. And at this dinner that was in Peach's neighborhood, it's out in the cut. It takes us an hour and a half on a train to get out there. The people at the restaurant, they just were staring the whole time. And I'm not, I'm 6'2", reasonably average, little tall, but Jeff Darrow's taller than me, and they were just gobsmacked, staring at us the entire time. And then when it was all said and done and it was time to wrap up, the people of the restaurant were so curious about like who we were, where we came from. They never ever saw had visible, like obvious foreigners at the restaurant ever, and they were super stoked on the novelty of it. And then they gave us these like special good luck charms and stuff. So I feel like we should go back there. It was one of those Korean barbecue style joints where they just give you all the tongues and all the brains and steaks and shit, and then you blaze them up yourself. Yeah, Juan, I know how that goes, man. All my friends who lived out there or live out there, they're like they say that there's just like a certain amount of things that if you let if you let them will just be annoying, but it will never stop. And like one of those things is always being asked how long you're going to be staying there. Like always treated like a tourist in some fashion. You know, even if you live there. I'm sure you're well aware of that. A witch hat episode? I think so. I'm gonna really try to get a shoot interview with Yutaka Minowa, the lead animator and designer of Ninja Scroll, because that's some Eddie P shit right there. Super formative anime for me, and I think it'll be cool to get a shoot interview with him. The first time I went out there, we got had this great dinner with Yutaka from Madhouse and Mr. Nightow from Trigun. Went to Mr. Nightow's favorite sushi spot. It was freaking great. One of the greatest nights of my life. And Yutaka knew that he's a fan of American comics, and he knew the influence of Ninja Scroll on me. So at the dinner, he had all of his work for Ninja Scroll 2, all of the designs, all of these new character studies, probably 700 pieces of artwork, 700 pages worth of drawing that he brought to this dinner. And I just stared at them and tried to fucking burn them into my mind and just try to like have perfect total recall and just knowing that by the time we're out of here, I'm going to forget 95% of everything I just looked at. I have an idea about how to do more mangaka interviews with the homie Aki doing translations. I would be able to maybe clip out Aki's translation and then lay it over top of the Japanese track as mangaka is talking. I think I could do that. I just use iMovie on an iPad, so it's not. I don't have access to. I guess I could get Final Cut Pro for the iPad, but in order for me to keep doing this kind of stuff, it has to be so simple. Like the second there's any complication to it, it's no longer viable, because I'm a cartoonist first. I'm not a AV whiz, which is sort of why this stream is happening, because I just wanted to see how the phone looks as a webcam. You know, I haven't seen some man bends for a little while, and what I gotta do is, it's tradition for me to load up the iPad full of man bends before I split, and that's what I watch on the plane. Just watch lots and lots of man bends. One of the cool things about Nightow Sensei is that his studio is at Nakano Broadway Mall. Obviously not the mall, but that building. So I might be able to work that out. That's news to me, is Junji Ito going digital with his work at this point. I feel like in some ways he was building towards that. If you watch his episode of Man Ben, like, he's got a lot of digital apparatus. I bet once you figure that shit out, it's just way faster. It's just, I'm not interested in that. That's not why I got into comics. You know, this right here is my interest. You know, drawn on paper. Watching the ink dry, like just that tactility, the feeling of it. That's my shit. Oh, you're talking about the video? Yeah, of course. Yeah, he'll like enlarge drawings and add zips that way, and has that, like, all these special little tools that he made, man, like a little keypad thing, and then that eraser that kind of sticks on his hand or whatever, on his finger. Yeah, she is a little badass, man. A little tough cookie. Where we at? 2.5 hours, huh? There'll be speed lines there. I think I'm gonna close up the stream, actually. I am getting hungry. And I need to hit a second wind. Maybe get a little caffeine so that I can finish this bitch off tonight. I think I got another 2 hours of work to do. So it's gonna be a night. The way I'm gonna powder out this evening will be to read that Bill Watterson's The Mysteries that came in from the publisher on Saturday. So looking forward to that. And I want to thank you guys for joining the stream, checking it out. I look forward to revisiting this stream to just see how all the technology works, and if it's up to my standard, which is pretty low. We could continue doing streams like this again, I think. And I think that we could create a situation where even when we do the weeklies and stuff, we could do multiple cameras. Because I got these like a stream deck where you could just hit buttons, you know, camera 1, camera 2. So like have one camera on Jimmy and myself, and then use his phone. Is that possible? Yeah, I think I could do that. And then, you know, that's another camera. So whenever he's filibustering, whenever I'm filibustering, there could be another camera. So a lot of possibilities, but I do think that the video quality of this is a million times better. So that'll make for extra cool King Kayfabe streams too. where we put like my old phone to use as the webcam, and then it'll just be much better video, because like the quality of the video for that will be this, and this is way better than that little webcam that we were using. So you see that up there? Those are just a sample of the artist editions. And then the stuff in here is all inventory. That's a Hip Hop Family Tree issues. And then you might not be able to see it so well, but right here is a spinner rack with all kinds of coverless stuff. Very random boxes over there. Scoop up that Hip Hop Family Tree omnibus if you haven't. Keep the vids coming to you on a regular basis. And thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Take care.